Okay, so imagine a sound, something that didn't just, tweak existing music, but actually helped create whole new genres.
Mm.
An effect that felt like it was reading the musician's mind, or at least their hands, freeing them up
Hmm.
for pure expression.
Hmm.
We're talking about something genuinely groundbreaking, a sound that, well, it changed everything back then.
You've set the scene perfectly. We're diving deep today into the Tron III, the original envelope filter pedal.
The original, right.
When Musitronics Corporation put this out, 1972, it wasn't just another pedal. It was, yeah, a revolution sounds about right.
And the core thing was this: opto-isolator envelope follower.
Exactly. That was the breakthrough. It created this dynamic auto-wah effect, but instead of rocking your foot, it reacted just to how hard or soft you pick the strings.
Okay, let's break that down a bit. An envelope filter
Hmm.
and this envelope follower. Is that basically the pedal just like listening to how loud or soft you're playing?
Pretty much, yeah.
Huh?
The envelope follower circuit tracks the volume profile, the envelope of the signal coming from your instrument.
Right.
You play louder, the envelope is bigger, it generates a higher control voltage, plays softer, lower voltage, and that voltage tells the filter how far to sweep.
So it's truly dynamic. It feels intuitive because it's your playing doing the work.
Absolutely. It becomes this extension of your instrument almost. And think about what you said, that physical freedom.
Yeah, what did that actually unlock for players?
Yeah.
Not having to use a foot pedal.
Imagine, say, a funk guitarist. They're trying to do complex rhythmic stuff, maybe muting strings with their picking
All right,
hand.
lots going on.
And also control a wah pedal with their foot. It's a lot to juggle. The Mutron freed up that foot, freed up mental space, and let players explore polyrhythms, those really percussive muted notes, and get this almost vocal crying quality in their solos. Funk guitar just exploded.
Wow, okay. So our mission today then is really to unpack the whole story of this legendary piece of gear. We'll look at where it came from, its innovative origins.
Yeah.
We'll dig into the circuit, the features that made it special.
Trace its evolution too, right? It wasn't just one version.
Exactly, how it changed over time, and then tie it all together, its cultural impact, why it still matters. So for you listening, think of this as your shortcut to understanding a really pivotal bit of music tech and all those aha moments it sparked.
Sounds good.
All right, let's rewind. 1972, Musitronics. That's Mike Bagel and Aaron Newman, right?
That's them. And the secret sauce, like we mentioned, that core idea was the opto-isolator design.
Can you explain a bit more how that specific design translates into the sound, that smooth musical suite people talk about?
Yeah, the opto-isolator is actually quite elegant. It's simple but effective. You've got a light source, usually an LED or a small incandescent bulb, and a light-dependent resistor, an LDR.
Yep.
The loudness of your guitar signal controls how bright that light gets. Brighter light hits the LDR, its resistance goes down. Softer signal, dimmer light, resistance goes up.
Nice.
And it's this smooth change in resistance that controls the filter's cutoff frequency. That's what gives you those really liquid, smooth musical sweeps. Very different from some other filter designs. It's instantly recognizable.
Gotcha. But it wasn't just one sound, was it? You mentioned versatility. It had the steep variable filter. How did that add flexibility?
Oh, hugely. That was another stroke of genius. It wasn't just an auto war. It gave you options. You had 3 main filter modes you could switch between.
Okay, what were they?
You had low pass. That gives you those really deep, warm, almost dubby filter sweeps, cuts off the highs and sweeps the low end.
Right.
Then band pass. This is the classic Mutron sound for many people. That focused, mid-rangey, quacky, very vocal-like tone. Think funk leads.
Quack, yeah.
Exactly. And finally, high pass. This lets the high frequencies through and sweeps those, giving you brighter, thinner, more cutting filter effects. So 3 really distinct characters from one box.
And beyond the filter type, you also had controls like peak and gain. How critical were those for dialing in the sound?
Oh, essential. Absolutely essential. The peak control, sometimes called resonance or Q, that basically determines how sharp the filter's peak is at the cutoff frequency.
Okay, so like how intense the wah effect sounds.
Kind of. A low peak or Q setting is broad, subtle, more gentle. Crank it up high, and you get a very narrow, sharp, intense peak. That's where you get those really resonant, almost squelchy, super vocal sounds.
Right. And the gain.
The gain control adjusted the input sensitivity. Crucial. It let you match the pedal to whatever you plugged into it. Different guitars have different output levels. Basses are different again. Keyboards, horns.
So it wasn't just for guitar.
Not at all. That was key to its success. The game let you fine-tune how much your playing dynamics would actually trigger the filter sweep. You could make it really sensitive or back it off.
Okay, makes sense. I also saw something about a direction switch. What did that do?
Yeah, another layer of expression, simple switch, big impact. It controlled whether the filter swept up in frequency when you played louder or down.
Oh,
So up is the typical wah sound, right? Filter opens up, gets brighter. Down is the opposite. As you hit harder, the filter closes down, gets darker. It's a totally different feel, almost like an inverse wah. Really cool for different textures.
and power, the originals used 18 volts. That seems high for a pedal back
It
then.
was, yeah. Most pedals were 9 volt. That 18 volts gave it significantly more headroom.
Headroom meaning.
Think of it as dynamic range. More room for the signal to get loud without distorting or clipping. Especially important with filters, which can boost frequencies quite a bit. It helped keep the sound clear, clean, and natural sounding, even with really hot pickups or signals from keyboards.
So putting it all together, this touch sensitivity, the different filter modes, the peak control, the direction switch, the headroom, it sounds like it's way ahead of its time.
It really was. It offered this incredible dynamic response that just wasn't common in pedals. You could go from subtle, gentle sweeps to really extreme resonant quacks just by changing your picking attack.
And usable on lots of instruments.
Exactly. Guitar, bass, clavinet, Rhodes piano, even horns and synthesizers. That versatility spread its appeal far and wide very quickly. It found a home in so many different genres because it just worked and sounded great.
So the original Neutron III, the big silver and blue box, it becomes this icon. But technology moves on, companies change. What happened next? Musitronics didn't last forever, right?
No, sadly, Musitronics closed down in the late 1970s, so production of those original units stopped.
Ah,
But the sound was too popular to just disappear. In the 80s and 90s, a company called HAZ Laboratories started making licensed reissues. They looked pretty similar, but, component availability changes over time.
so did they sound the same?
Close, but many players felt they weren't quite as warm or maybe as smooth as the 70s originals. It likely came down to subtle differences in components, capacitors, resistors, maybe the opto-isolators themselves. The originals also used discrete components.
Meaning individual transistors, resistors, caps, not integrated circuits.
Precisely. And while integrated circuits or ICs are more consistent and often cheaper, many ears find that circuits built from discrete components can have a certain richness or character, maybe some subtle imperfections that actually sound good. Vintage mojo, if you like.
Right. But Mike Bagel, the original designer, he wasn't totally out of the picture.
No, not at all. He stayed involved. In the 2000s, working with HAZ Labs again, he brought out the Tron III Plus.
Okay, the plus, what did that add?
It aimed to capture the original sound, but with some modern updates. Better power supply options, probably more reliable components, and crucially, it was housed in a smaller, more pedal board-friendly enclosure than those big vintage units.
Makes sense for modern players.
Totally. And that trend continued. Today, you have the Mutron Microtron series, like the Microtron III and IV. These are even smaller, designed to give you that core Mutron tone and control set, but in a tiny footprint that fits easily on any board. They're remarkably faithful to the original 70s vibe.
So the sound lives on in various forms. Let's talk about that impact. This pedals wasn't just another effect. It feels like it became essential for certain sounds, certain genres. Who comes to mind first?
Oh, wow. Okay, first thought for many is probably Jerry Garcia.
From the Grateful Dead.
Yeah. His use of the Mutron III on lead guitar is just legendary. That fluid, vocal, auto-wah sound became a massive part of his signature tone, especially in the mid-70s. It really made his solo sing.
Okay, yeah, I can hear that sound. Who else? Funk comes up a lot.
Absolutely. You have to mention Bootsy Collins,
The bass player.
the one and only, with Parliament Funkadelic. He basically defined funk bass squelch with the Mutron III. Those rubbery, super expressive, almost talking bass lines. That's the Mutron working its magic on his space bass. Unforgettable.
So guitar, bass. We mentioned keyboards earlier. Any specific examples?
The huge one is Stevie Wonder. His hit Higher Ground.
Yeah.
That instantly recognizable percussive wah sound on the clavinet.
Oh, yeah. That's a Mutron.
That's a Mutron III on clavinet. Just brilliant use of it gave the keyboard a whole different rhythmic life.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Any others? Maybe jazz or fusion?
Definitely. Jazz fusion guitarist Larry Coryell was an early adopter, and later on in the jam band scene, which owes a lot to the Dead, you have Fish. Both Trey Anastasio on guitar and Mike Gordon on bass have used Mutrons extensively for those funky exploratory textures. It just cuts across styles because that dynamic control is so universally useful.
It sounds like its influence went beyond just being popular. Did its actual design, the circuit itself, inspire other pedal makers?
Oh, absolutely. You could argue the Mutron III basically defined the sound of the envelope filter, particularly for funk and fusion. Its circuit was so effective and unique that, yeah, it spawned countless clones, copies, and derivatives over the years.
Any notable examples?
Well, interestingly, Mike Bagel himself, after leaving Musitronics, designed the Electro-Harmonix Qtron and later the Qtron Plus Q. Those are direct descendants, building on his own original Mutron concepts.
So he competed with his own invention, in a way.
You could say that. And then you have pedals like the three-leaf Audio Wonderlove, which is explicitly inspired by the Mutron, or the Source Audio Spectrum Intelligent Filter, which uses digital processing to model various envelope filters, including the Mutron. They all owe a huge debt to that original 1972 design.
So, given all this history and influence, what's the deal with original Mutron the Thirds today? Are they hard to find? Expensive?
They are definitely highly sought after. Vintage units, especially the early ones in good condition, are collector's items now. They can easily fetch, well over $1,000, sometimes significantly more.
Wow. Why so much? Just history? Or is the sound truly different?
It's a combination. There's the historical significance, the cool factor of owning an original, but also, as we discussed, those vintage components, the discrete circuitry. Many players feel they have a certain sonic character, a mojo that even the best modern reissues don't quite capture identically. Whether the difference justifies the price is up to the individual, of course,
Right.
but their influence is undeniable. You still hear that sound everywhere in jam bands, funk groups, experimental music. People are still chasing that specific tone.
So even with great modern options like the Microtrons, the originals hold their own.
For sure. The modern ones offer incredible value, convenience, and get you extremely close to the sound. But for some purists, only the original big box will do. It just shows how powerful and enduring that initial innovation really was.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. Quick recap. The Mutron III emerges in the early 70s. Truly groundbreaking.
It brought dynamic, touch-sensitive filter control to musicians in a pedal format.
And the key innovation was the opto-isolator envelope follower.
Right, creating that smooth musical sweep tied directly to playing dynamics. Plus, the versatile filter modes, low pass, band pass, high pass, gave it a wide sonic palette.
And incredibly expressive, very touch-sensitive.
Exactly. Whether you're talking about those original huge enclosures or the modern microtrons, that core voice, that Mutron sound, it's instantly recognizable and still really musically relevant today, over 50 years later.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe something for you to chew on. How can a single piece of technology, one pedal, do more than just influence music? How can it actually define the sound of entire genres, like funk, like jazz fusion?
Yeah, and inspire so many copies and variations and still be this highly collectible, sought-after thing decades down the line.
What does that enduring appeal of the Mutron III really tell us about innovation, about musical expression, about what makes a sound truly timeless?
What iconic sound, shaped by technology like this, will you listen for next?